Hey, it's JR. Just want to make sure you guys like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube, and as always, enjoy. Peace. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Geek Gods with a special edition of the Wrestling Geeks. I'm JR alongside Justin, and we are here to talk about last Sunday's WWE pay-per-view Extreme Rules, and also a Monday Night Raw recap as well, and the King of the Ring tournament too that happened over the span of the last 2 days. So without further ado, let's get started here on Extreme Rules. Very first match, well, on the pre-show was Neville and Bad News Barrett. I don't know if you got a chance to see that, um, Justin, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good match. The guys seem to have pretty good chemistry, and I know they've been working overseas together, so they have some sort of chemistry and everything like that. I like the dynamic. Two British guys. Neville's been booked really good so far ever since coming into the main roster, and Barrett seems to be bouncing back from the horrendous Intercontinental Champion booking he had there. I don't know. Did you get a
Most
chance to
losses
check that
by an
out, or
IC
I
champ
mean,
ever.
it's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
I saw the match. I like you said, Neville's been solid. I don't think he's had a bad match since he's been called up. But you're right, he works well with Barrett, and that was, I guess, them working overseas together. If you saw some of those videos, even with Barrett proclaiming that Neville was going to be the first British WWE champion before bullhammering him, which I thought was pretty funny. Uh, But they had two good matches in the last 3 days at Extreme Rules, and then Barrett, of course, beating him in the King of the Ring finals tonight to become
Which we will get to eventually, but yeah,
King Bad News. I love it. I'm happy about that.
the king of
Uh,
bad news.
I would have been happy either way, but now maybe we get a rubber match. It'd be nice to see Neville put in a legit feud, and I think Barrett would be a nice partner for that.
Be a good starting point. Yeah, I agree with you. I think yeah, it's I don't know if it's Barrett passing the torch to Neville, but I think Barrett now seems to be recovering, like I said, from that horrendous IC title booking. I'm gonna play the blame game eventually, and the only reason this match happened on the pre-show was because Barrett was originally supposed to fight Mr. Glassneck, Daniel Bryan,
Mr.
but
Kicks.
Bryan, as you know, is hurt again. Guy can't seem to stay healthy, so they moved this match to the pre-show and moved the tag match, which was originally set to be on the pre-show, to later on the card on the main card.
Yeah, I actually
Um,
thought that was one of the weaker matches, the tag match.
Really, because I thought that was one of the better matches of the night. But we'll get to that. We'll get to the match of the night stuff. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So overall, I thought that was pretty good, and the pay-per-view started with Dirty Dean versus Luke Harper. Now, an overall lukewarm, no pun intended, feud. Felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. It started because Dean got powerbombed through a ladder at WrestleMania, but the match started out pretty good, and they took it to the back, and eventually drove out into the supposedly streets of Chicago for the Chicago street fight.
They took a piss break.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Or if you saw that meme online where it goes, Harper gets in the car and goes, "Hey Dean, you want to go master some titties?" And Dean goes, "Did you say titties?" And jumps
Ah.
right in the car. So, that was pretty funny. Had a total match time, 56 minutes. Well,
Nah,
obviously
you
because
can't count that off
I
their
know, I know, I
shit.
know, because this
I
match
don't.
didn't technically end until a little bit later. After I forget a certain set, I think it might have been the tag match. Um, they came back, and then Ambrose finally got a win on a pay-per-view after 10 months since the Shield broke up. His first big win on a pay-per-view.
Really,
Hopefully, a sign of yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was his first match pay per view win. Huh.
his first win since on a pay-per-view since the Shield split. Isn't that crazy?
He has had the shittiest luck since the Shield broke up, and I
Well,
think
and
he was my favorite in the Shield. I think.
I love Dirty Dean. Here's where I'm going to harp on Daniel Bryan a little bit, and I may piss off some Bryan marks. Dean Ambrose was scheduled to win the IC title, but because Daniel Bryan came back early,
Yeah,
I mean,
they weren't
his
gonna push him for the world title, and
his fan,
they gave
yeah.
him the consolation.
In order to appease his fans for not shitting on the WrestleMania show main event, they decided to put the title on Bryan, completely null and voiding all the money promos Ambrose was cutting on the WWE app about how prestigious the title was and how he wanted to be listed as one of the greats like Pat Patterson, Razor Ramon, the great IC champs of the
Right.
day.
He had backstory to his reason for wanting it,
They,
even dating to that Raw that went off the air because of that freak storm, and him saying he walked to
oh,
WWE headquarters. He hitchhiked up to it just to see the wall of intercontinental
dude,
champions.
they dropped the ball big time, and I blame Brian Marks for that. It just sounds petty, but I'm telling you, if it wasn't for that, this story had
Oh,
potential to
I
have
think
some
you're right.
legs.
I think
And
they I think they rushed Bryan back. I mean, he shouldn't have come back until after WrestleMania. Bringing him back, maybe the Raw after WrestleMania probably would have been better for him. Because look, I mean, I think they brought him back early, and now he's hurt again and could end up being out longer. You strip the guy of the world title, now you're going to strip him of the IC title.
this hurts Brian too because now they're never going to trust him with the title again. I think not for a long time.
You're
Guy,
definitely not going to see a world title run with him anytime soon.
yeah, and you can pretty much forget main eventing or winning the Royal Rumble next year, guys. You got no amount of booze or whatever is gonna change that. Your guy can't stay healthy. Sorry, tough titties. It sucks, and it completely ruined what could have been a great run for Dean Ambrose. But hopefully, within the coming months, he wins that Money in the Bank, and things look up for him. So, as far as Luke Harper goes, I like the guy a lot. No direction at the moment. He seems to just be like an enhancement guy because he's a former IC champ. He's kind of a legit guy in the ring. People put him in matches to make others kind of look good. And I feel bad for him. I feel like he deserves a little bit better.
Oh yeah, for a big guy, he works super well, and it's funny. Out of the three Wyatt family members, I think he's getting the most solid booking out of any of them.
Well, he's lost a lot of matches, but in the ring, I think
He's
he's
looked
probably the.
good doing it though. He
Yeah,
hasn't.
you're right. You're right.
I
You're
don't,
right.
I don't think any of his I don't think any of his losses have hurt, and that for being a Raw after a pay-per-view, I thought Raw last night was kind of weak uh, up until that last half an hour, and that Neville Harper match was the best match of the night.
Was a good match for sure. Both guys, Harper, a former NXT tag champ, as well as Neville, and Neville, one of the longer reigning NXT champs of all time. I think Bo Dallas still holds that distinction. So yeah.
I think on King of the Ring tonight they said Neville was the longest reigning
Oh, so
NXT
he
champ of
beat
all time.
Bo's streak there. Okay, all right. Well, Bo is still the better champion if you ask me. But
Oh, you're a
I'm a Bo
believer.
lever, so maybe I'm a little bit biased.
Definitely
But
biased. You're definitely biased.
anyway, sir, moving on. Then we had DZ, Dolph Ziggler versus heel Sheamus in a Kiss Me Arse
I love
match.
heel Sheamus. Heel Sheamus is the shit.
I agree with you. I actually have been enjoying Sheamus more than I did with his previous run as a face, with
It,
that, it's a shameful thing, lobster head theme. Um,
he's
I
more
like it.
relevant as a heel, and it's always
Yeah,
been that way. I mean, you. I remember, when you got back into it, I came back a little before you. You hated Sheamus. I know your brother doesn't like Sheamus as a face,
he's a credible
and
heel.
I told you all along. I said, let him turn heel. He's a money heel. When he came in, he was heel against Triple H, and he was great. And I mean, he's great now as a heel. He's got the look. He's got the attitude. He's good in the ring.
And I
Yeah,
like his
I
reasons
don't
for
think
it
he
too,
looks
though. Like,
stupid.
actually, the little dingleberries on his beard are growing on me a little bit, and the mohawk too. I think it's a perfect look for a heel. I don't think that look would go over as a face,
He
in
uh,
my
he
opinion. But
he looks like the Celtic warrior.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. He reminds me a little bit of the dwarves in World of Warcraft, with some of
There you
those,
go.
beard braids or whatever. But yeah, overall, but real quick though, I like the reason why he came back as a heel now because he feels there are no more real men or in the WWE or too many underdogs or whatever, which I think is a jab at some of the vanilla midgets on the roster, which is great. I love that kind of stuff. But I like Dolph Ziggler too. I thought overall it was a good match, not a show stealer by any means.
No,
But
solid work by both guys, but no, it was a time filler.
yeah, pretty much. And Sheamus, lost the match. Ziggler over Sheamus. Um, Sheamus refused to fulfill the stipulation that he made in the match, and instead he pretty much bro kicked Ziggy and
Made
made
him kiss
Ziggler.
his arse.
Made him kiss his arse, yeah.
Looks like that feud's going to continue though after King of the Ring tonight.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind that actually. I think there's some legs there. I think both guys are good workers, and they can do something. And this, who knows, maybe build up these guys to maybe a potential feud down the line, maybe a main event feud or something. I don't know if they put in good work. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
After that, we had the New Day.
I hate him. I hate him so much.
Versus one of my favorite tag teams right now. I like both guys, to be honest with you. Team Cat, Cesaro and Tyson. CAT. I don't know if you guys caught that little abbreviation there, but the Fact Dropper and the Swiss Superman were defending the titles against the New Day, who had earned the #1 contendership on the previous episode of Raw by defeating the Lucha Dragons with some heel tactics.
They cheated.
I hated the New Day, but I like the heel New Day.
I still hate the New Day.
Something about them is pretty entertaining right now. They
blow.
They're not the greatest, but the gimmick itself.
The gimmick doesn't work, face or heel. Nation 2.0 sucks.
I don't know. You need to give it a chance, though. I think there's some legs there, personally. But
Big E is terrible. Those aren't muscles. Those are man titties. Xavier Woods is always hurt and useless. The only relevant one out of any of the three ever was Kofi Kingston.
My girlfriend was watching. She happened to catch Big E as he was on the screen, and she goes, "That guy's gay." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Yeah, Big E. Is he gay?" I'm like, "What? What are you talking? I don't see it." She's convinced. So I came up with this thing like, "Oh, Big E, gay or nay?" I don't know. I just thought it was funny at the time.
They suck. Tag Team Champions is a joke. That's a Vince McMahon move.
Well, I think this is going to be a Freebird rule type thing where all three guys are considered the tag champs, because you saw Xavier Woods wearing the title, but whatever. I was surprised by this match, to be honest. It was actually one of my favorite matches on the night, to be honest, mostly because Cesaro and Kidd were really...
I like Cesaro and Kidd. We were there. We were there in Philly at the Rumble when they finally, at least, it seemed like they started to get over. And you can thank Philly for that New Day sucks chant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Big ups to the Philly crowd. You booed my boy Roman, but you know what? We'll get to that a little bit later. Like I said, I was surprised by the New Day pulling out this victory. I was not expecting that.
They
cheated.
I do see... straight up heel.
Well, yeah, heel tactics. It's cool. I do think Cesaro and Tyson will get the title back at Payback, personally, because I think they're the best thing going in the tag division right now. The tag division needs these guys to stay together.
Are they getting their payback? I mean, they're scheduled to... I didn't read the SmackDown spoilers.
SmackDown. No, they deserve. These guys have made the tag division relevant. They put in great work. They're great workers, and Tyson Kidd, one of my favorite guys when he was in NXT. The Fact gimmick was just fucking money. I mean, the guy really reinvented himself down there, and coming up here, I think him and Cesaro definitely deserve better. So hopefully there's some sort of legs there for future feud and keeping these guys relevant and in the picture. And keeping them together. Maybe eventually you can split them, and I don't know, maybe Cesaro gets an IC or main event run. Cesaro deserves to be a world champ eventually.
Oh, definitely.
He's fucking awesome. He's got the physique. He's got the moveset. Tyson Kidd, he's like 34, which isn't too old, I don't see him as a world champ, but maybe give him an IC title run. I think he can definitely have some success there, because he's a great fucking worker, and that sharpshooter always gets popped. So
yeah, I see Kidd, though, when they split, because it's going to happen, and I don't view them as a legitimate tag team. I mean, yes, they're tag team champs, or they were.
They were the best tag team in the WWE for the longest time, if you ask me.
In the era of in the weakest era of tag teams in WWE history. I mean,
okay, duly noted.
They were a tag team that was thrown together, and for a tag team that was thrown together, they were great. And I love them. I like both men. I love Cesaro. I've always liked Cesaro.
Yeah, the guys.
Tyson Kidd
has
grown on me. But I don't. They had their tag title run, and I think it's over.
I think it could have been a little bit longer, to be honest with you, because I felt like they were really bringing some legitimacy, back to the tag division there, but
I
I
agree,
guess time will tell, I
I
suppose.
think being that the pay-per-view is payback, and we're putting so much emphasis on that word, I think you're going to see the Lucha Dragons take the tag. Oh, well, not take the tag titles, but I think you're going to see the Lucha Dragons compete for the tag titles at Payback.
Yeah, well, that's a good prediction. It makes sense since they got screwed out of the number one contendership by Xavier Woods. So I
Yes,
guess
I don't see Cesaro and Tyson getting back into it after they squander their opportunity tonight on SmackDown.
that's disappointing. Oh, wait, so they lost tonight on SmackDown.
I don't know. I'm only assuming they did. I have not
Oh,
read
okay, yeah, well, I
the
guess we'll have to
spoilers
see.
yet,
I'll read the
but
spoilers later. All right, let's move on here. So next was we had some fun with this one. Was John Cena
oh, you
versus
can't see
Rusev.
me.
So hashtag hustle, hashtag loyalty, hashtag respect.
I think our text conversation throughout that whole match was done in hashtags,
Yes, it
and we
was.
both hate hashtags.
We totally do, but I recognize their usefulness at times. This match to me was kind of a little bit. You know what I mean?
It
I
was,
thought,
and the ending was weak. I mean,
yeah,
if the we're tied at 3-3, and the name of the game is you have to if you're stopped, then it's waved off. Well, they're both stopped in the middle of the ring playing tug of war. I mean, it should have been waved off. It was a dumb match. It was a
yeah,
dumb stipulation.
yeah, it was kind of whack. I mean, John Boy coming through with the win here, as expected. He's expected to have a lengthy run as the U.S. champion to bring some
Now,
sort of gravitas back to this. 'Cause he's getting a
uh,
custom belt design.
I was just gonna
So
say I have not heard about this custom belt, but I don't follow the forums as much as you do.
yeah,
I leave that to you, and I prefer to try and take more of an average fan's perspective, if you
yeah.
will. And so I haven't seen anything about that, but I think it's like you said. We're gonna see round 4 here. What they've done 4 pay-per-views in a row now, I think, or it will be at the next one,
So let's see.
and
It
in
was
an I Quit
Fastlane,
match, yeah,
Mania. This one, yeah, before pay-per-views. I mean,
and then
as far as
Payback.
feuds go, this has
It's
been
been a
one
good
of the
feud.
long. It's been a good feud. It's been one of the longer feuds. Usually they do like 2 or 3 matches. The feud's over so far. So this is gonna be 4.
Tops. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
would like to see. It's okay to have 1 or 2 go a lengthy amount of time, but in general, I think I'd like to see more of the 1 month feuds. There's not a lot of turnaround between the last pay per view and this one, so they kind of got to get the ball rolling quick.
yeah. This is kind of rushed. Which so
Yeah,
the
a
booking for it
3 week
is pretty
turnaround.
much like rematches and stuff like that. So
Right, pay more emphasis on payback. And I guess there'll be in an I Quit match, and it's like you said, if anyone thinks John Cena's gonna say I
dude,
quit, you're out of your
if
mind.
anybody thinks John Cena is gonna quit
Has John
at fucking
Cena
Payback, dude.
ever lost an I Quit match?
I don't think John Cena's ever submitted ever.
You're right. I don't think John Cena's ever tapped
I mean,
out.
that's his whole shtick. If he
It is.
quits,
It
he'll
is.
have to stop selling those fucking,
Never
you
give
know,
up.
those fucking towels to grown men and
I was just
children.
gonna say, you're not gonna see grown men with never give up towels anymore. John Cena utters the words, "I quit."
It's very gimmicky. Personally, I thought their match at Mania was better than this one. Like I
It
said, this one
was.
was just
This one was a little weak.
yeah.
I expect the I quit match to be the best match of the feud. I think it's gonna be down and dirty, and I think both men are gonna get their submissions in, and Rusev's
Uh,
gonna say, "I quit."
well, I mean, Rusev looked better at Mania than he did here, to be honest with you. And losing a
Yeah.
match like this doesn't necessarily hurt Rusev too much, but
No.
Rusev quitting next month,
That's gonna hurt.
that's
That's gonna hurt.
that's gonna
There's
sting a
no way
little
that
bit.
doesn't hurt. You said I quit. Look what it did to JBL. He's sitting on the announcer's booth now.
Oh, come on, Michael. But yeah. All right. Well, anyways, moving down the card here, we have the Divas Championship match, which um
What's
not
going
a
on with
fan.
Paige? What's going on with Paige?
Paige is
Is she taking a
actually
little
out.
break, or
She's actually out filming a movie, which is why they did the Naomi heel turn.
I know she's going to be at Wizard World Philly next week.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be there, but sadly I cannot make it. It was Nikki Bella versus Naomi, with Brie Bella accompanying the Divas champion Nikki Bella, my favorite Bella. Nikki, man, really has been impressing me over the last couple months. She's upped her game in terms
Yeah,
in the ring. She's been money as fuck,
she's been
and
great.
which I was like, I was
She's getting AJ Lee booking.
totally, dude, and with the ring fucking moves to show it. She's not just some like
No,
botch
she's
fest like the other divas. She's been actually really good, which has made some of these divas matches fucking tolerable. In comparison to the NXT divas, which are on another level. But yeah, like it's crazy. Um, I
not
thought.
a
Go ahead. I'm
yeah.
sorry, bro.
I was saying I'm not a fan of Naomi. But her heel character is actually hasn't been as
It
bad.
actually gives her some substance. She had no substance as a face.
She's
She was
got
really just a
right.
tag along funkadactyl to the Usos. Now
She
she
finally got a
actually
new
has.
theme. Finally got a new theme.
Finally. But you know what? It's kind of like the look, though. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Sasha Banks from NXT. I don't know what they're going to screw Sasha over with that, because Sasha right now has a similar look. So we'll see how that
Uh,
plays out when Sasha gets
her
called up.
her shoe. She got lady shoes.
Well, she's got the sunglasses, the fucking, flashy attire and shit like that. So no flashy shoes. I thought those shoes were pretty cool, though, I must say.
I really enjoy the grown up light up shoes.
Yeah,
I
they
really
were.
want a pair actually.
Same here. I thought myself, like, those are pretty nice, actually. Where can I
I
cop those?
may have to replace my loaded Converse collection with light up shoes.
Well, there you go. Anyways, Nikki Bella, not much to say about this one. It wasn't that great of a match. Nikki Bella comes through with the win thanks to help from her sister, Brie Mode, a.k.a. Cheese Bella,
Nope,
a.k.a.
free
Mrs. Glassneck.
mode.
Um, but yeah, that
Mrs.
was.
Intercontinental Champion.
Uh, I prefer Mrs. Glassneck, but
Mrs. Glassnight. I thought we were calling him Mr. Kicks. I like Mr.
Yeah,
Kicks.
Mrs. Kicks. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you
either
can't
or.
fault.
They're
You can't.
interchangeable.
Mr. Glassneck is that's kind of hurts a little. Can't fault the
Yeah,
guy for being
listen, don't
hurt.
get me
You
wrong.
can't fault the guy for having a shitty gimmick and no moves besides kicks.
I wish Daniel Bryan the best of health. I'm just tired of. I just don't see the allure in Daniel Bryan personally.
I don't either. I think he was better in Team Hell No. He's a
Yeah.
better heel.
Well, we'll see. Anyways, moving on now to, in my opinion, match of the fucking night. Never thought I'd say this, but
Yeah.
my boy Roman Reigns versus Big Show in a last man standing match. I thought this really showed Roman Reigns that Roman Reigns could actually work. To be honest, I mean, like, I thought his match at Fastlane with DB was pretty good, but this match to me was fucking great. He was pulling out all the stops. I mean, he was, Samoan drop to Big Show, which is a big fucking guy, through tables. He was pulling out all the stops to fucking impress that smart Chicago crowd. And I feel like he did it. The boos were absolutely minimal.
Yeah.
He was actually getting popped.
Yeah.
He got cheered. He had some nice spots. And, I feel like the tide is turning for him now, because you heard him last night on Raw, which we'll get to. He was getting popped, man. He was getting the crowd involved.
He looked good. He's saying the right stuff on the mic. It was a solid match. Big Show, I think, helped him a little. Even though he's the big slow and he's not the greatest in ring worker, but
yeah, he's a veteran, so he knows how to carry a match. I'll give him that much credit.
I mean, they both looked good in that match, and it was definitely the match of the night.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, to me, it was the Roman Reigns match, the Neville match.
And I mean, and you know me, I like Roman Reigns, but I'm harder on him than you are. I think I'm a little more realistic with Roman Reigns than you are.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll admit I'm a Reigns mark, but
exactly.
I definitely, you gotta admit, the guy he's been doing his best to get better. He's been getting better over the last few months. Since Fastlane, he's improved immensely. His promo work has improved. His matches have improved. He's definitely doing what he can to, he's paid his dues pretty much. He's ready. Now, before I could understand the resentment, but at the same time, people say, "Oh, he's being forced down our throats." Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. It's better than have Daniel Bryan forced down my throat. With another fucking underdog run. No, thank you. I'll pass on that.
It's gonna be it'll be good because there's a new WWE 24 coming out next week, and at least I think it's WWE 24, and that's gonna follow Roman's WrestleMania, I think. So I'm excited for that.
Totally gonna watch that for sure. Anywho, and then we had the main event, which was the Architect Seth Rollins versus the Viper Randy Orton. I thought overall it was a cage match, to be honest. Very gimmicky, to be honest.
I still love when Randy pedigreed.
I love that. That could be some foreshadowing of maybe a Triple H Randy Orton feud heading into SummerSlam or something like that, I think. Overall, I think the match is okay. It was
all right. It was all right. I think Kane was it was predictable, and I think Kane was totally irrelevant in the end.
I think Kane face turned and heel turned like 5 times during that match.
In the last 2 weeks alone, he's turned. a
It's
dozen times.
Big Show-esque. It's pretty crazy. The finish is pretty cool. I mean, obviously we had the pedigree spot with Orton, pedigreeing Rollins, and then Randy RKOing Kane, and then Rollins pulling out the surprise by RKOing Randy for the fucking
And
escape
he
victory there.
and he fucking sugarcoats it and calls it an SKO. It's
And
ridiculous.
yeah, he's playing the chicken shit role, but he needs to move on a little bit from that because he's the way he looks right now. He looks like a really weak champion. He may be the world champion, but to me right now, the only difference between him and Money in the Bank Rollins for me right now is that he's holding the world title.
Instead of a briefcase, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna need to do something real quick, but maybe this is just a transitional title reign because I definitely think Reigns is going over next month. That's what I think.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think Roman's going to get his payback? Do you think Roman's walking out of payback world champ?
I'm early prediction here, depending on how the next couple weeks go. Early prediction, I think so. Yes.
So then
the crowds
I
are
would just,
finally behind him again.
yeah, I agree with you. I would love to
And
see that.
I'd like to see him actually get his run and see what he can do. Because that's people complain so much that the company doesn't build new stars, and when they try to, people shit on them because they're not some indie darling like Daniel Bryan or whatever. Like Reigns was in FCW for years before he got called up. So give him a chance, see what he does. If he fails, okay, whatever, but you gotta see what the guy's got. You can't just shit on the story because your guy's
All right.
not being pushed. You know what I mean? You gotta see where the story goes. Rocky Maivia, great example. I know they're cousins, but like when Rocky first came in, he was this, wholesome fucking dude. Nobody liked him until they gave the
Rocky
guy a
guy.
fucking chance. Give him a fucking chance, to
Yeah.
prove that he can do something different. So
Now
let's see.
I don't have the schedule open right now, but when is Money in the Bank? Because I'm trying to do a little timeline in my head here.
Let's see here. I have actually lucky if I have it up. So Payback next month is
It's
on the
2 weeks.
17th of May.
Uh-huh. Then we have
Money in the Bank will be June 14th, so practically a
so
month.
that's the next pay-per-view, okay?
Yeah, and then there's Battleground. The spacing of these are going to be pretty good after that. Battleground, then it's SummerSlam.
Okay,
And then
that's as far as I want to go here. Cause so let's go with our prediction of Reigns going over and winning the world title at Payback, and let's say Dean Ambrose wins Money in the Bank. I would assume that Reigns would at least hold the title until SummerSlam, but that's when Brock Lesnar is due back as well. So just play devil's advocate here with me. Where do you let's predict 4 months down the road if Reigns wins here? How do you think it's all going to play out?
this is not going to sit well with some of the people. I think when Reigns gets his hands on the title, let's say he doesn't go over, but when he finally gets his hands on the title, they're gonna erase CM Punk's modern championship record with Roman Reigns. Prepare yourselves for that, because I think that's what's gonna happen.
I don't know about that. I think it's time. I would like them to go back to you got a new champ every couple of months here instead of seeing guys hold it for 7, 8, 9,
I don't know
10.
if I like the hot potato thing, but maybe
It's not necessarily
three
hot
to 4
potato.
months. I'm cool with that kind of reign. 1 to 2 months. I'm not cool with that, but we'll see.
I mean, just like when you had it in the glory days. I mean, Rocky was in the company for what 6 years, and he held the belt 7 times, I think, in 6 years. So I mean, I don't know how many world titles Austin had, but I mean, it was pretty hot potato there between Triple
the
H,
Attitude
Kurt
Era
Angle.
was notoriously hot potato. So I agree. Let's hope they get better booking here.
They kept it fresh.
I'm cool with Brock coming back at SummerSlam. I don't know if he'll win it at SummerSlam.
Do you think he's going to go right for the world title, or do you think he's just going to go after Seth Rollins?
Absolutely, he's owed a rematch, pretty much. If you think about it.
What if Seth isn't the champion? I think he
still
wants
allowed
Rollins.
a rematch. So, it's that's the thing. That's what they're going to play. So
I'm trying to think of when we're going to get our Shield triple threat here. Maybe
Shield triple threat, brother. It's either going to happen Survivor Series, Rumble, or Mania 32. It's gonna happen, and Dean Ambrose will be world champion. I think by the end of the year. I think
he'll come out as world champ if he wins Money in the Bank. But when we do get our Shield triple threat, I think you're right. I think Ambrose walks out.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna happen. All 3 guys are very protected, even though Ambrose went on that shitty pay-per-view losing streak. I think all 3 guys will eventually be world champ for sure. They're pretty high on these guys. They're hot commodities. I'm pretty sure the company recognizes that, because Ambrose, even though he's swimming in shit, he's still over as fuck. And Rollins is one of the most over heels, and Reigns, he's getting back to being over again. So
Yeah, it's interesting to try and figure out where everybody's going to go. It's actually, when I
I
was saying
actually
earlier,
enjoy it, to be
it
honest
would
with
be
you.
nice to see some of these upper mid card guys get thrust into the main event picture here and there.
Yeah,
But when you think
absolutely.
about it, like just from talking it over here, the main event picture is pretty. There's not a lot of guys in the picture necessarily, but it's enough to keep it interesting, I think.
It's fairly clogged in a way, but not really. You know?
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on to Monday Night Raw here real quick. And I don't want to spend too much time on Raw, but
That was a pretty weak roll.
yeah, it was an okay Raw. It was the Raw where they night after the pay-per-view, there was a night where they were starting the King of the Ring tournament, which seemed pretty thrown together if you ask me last minute. But overall, actually fairly enjoyable. There's some pretty okay matches. Rollins comes out, cuts a promo, blah blah blah. He comes out with Kane and Jane, Jobber and Jobber security, and just pretty much talking smack. And typical, you know, Raw opening for the most part. Except I didn't see the Reigns thing really. I wasn't expecting that. Reigns comes out against the crowd behind him by
Yeah,
calling him Justin Bieber. Cheap pop, but it got the crowd behind him and stuff like
that
that.
worked. A little Mick Foley behind that.
Well, I'll tell you what, the casual observer sees that at home because you know how fickle wrestling fans are. Casual observer sees it. Oh, they're cheering for Reigns again. All right, we're gonna
Yeah.
start cheering for him again. So, um, that was that pretty much. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I would set up essentially what that was. Both guys feel like they are owed um, a title shot because Rollins used a banned move, so all that logistics and uh, litigation behind that, and Reigns feels like he's owed it, he's proved himself, blah blah blah. So what Kane, the director of operations, decided to do was leave it up to the WWE universe to decide the fate for what the main event of Payback would be, which we would find out later in the night would be a triple threat match with the Viper, the Juggernaut, and the Architect. So moving on though, the first King of the Ring match was DZ versus B&B. Uh, the match is pretty straightforward. Nothing much to it really. Um, Sheamus interfering, showing Dolph kissing his arse, which kind of distracted Dolph, and then he caught a bullhammer to the face and advances Barrett. Any thoughts on that, bro?
Not really. I mean, if anything that came out of that, it was that, like we said earlier, that Sheamus Ziggler feud is going to continue.
Yep, and we'll see what kind of legs that has if it thrusts any of the guys into some sort of title scene. Which we got to figure out what's going to happen to the IC title. Maybe something's going to happen there. So
Yeah,
maybe
I
they
don't
have a
know.
tournament of sorts where the King of the Ring will take on maybe the winner of the Dolph Ziggler Sheamus feud or something like that. That could, for the IC title, and maybe they can actually book it to where they were planning to have it because they were planning on elevating those mid card titles, but that didn't get a chance because Daniel Bryan got hurt. Anyways,
Mr.
uh,
Glassneck.
Mr. Glassneck kicks. Yep. Next on the card was a pretty match, to be honest. It was Big E versus Tyson Kidd. More heel tactics by the New Day to get the W. Nothing really special there, to be honest.
Uh,
Want to touch on that?
no, I hate the Nation 2.0.
The Nation, the Jobber Nation,
We are the
Jobberation.
Nation.
I don't know.
No, Tyson Kidd deserves better.
Yeah, TK deserves better for sure. Like I said, we'll see what's going to happen here. We haven't checked SmackDown spoilers yet, but we'll find out eventually. And then there was a segment where they showed stills from the Russian training match. Blah blah blah. No big deal. Then it was Ryback versus my boy Bo Dallas in a pretty much squash match
Yeah, but it's set up Bray
where
Wyatt, which is gonna
yeah,
be
we pretty
kind of
much figure
weird.
out who Bray Wyatt has been rambling to for the past few weeks since Mania, which is Ryback for some random reason.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
It's hard to figure out who he's targeting and why he's targeting because he talks in parables. He's kind of like Jesus Christ in a way. It's like I used to really dig Bray Wyatt. To me now, he's become this like character. I really hope they reinfuse him with something
It's a
because
good gimmick.
yeah,
They
it's just
just keep
lost its way. He's
throwing
had
him
too
into
many
this garbage.
just too many big losses, like that Cena loss. I know it's a year ago, but that really hurt his momentum, man. You know?
Yeah, he was super over before that. Yeah, to a
His
point he still is. That feud with Ambrose could have been so much better than it was.
Oh, absolutely.
He
No question.
needs a legitimate booking, a legitimate feud, and I remember a few months ago we were talking about this, and there was all kinds of rumors floating around the internet, and I think it would actually be, semi-interesting if he took on Adam Rose and switched Adam Rose back into, his NXT gimmick, and
Yeah, the Leo Kruger thing,
it
yeah.
would it would just give him something to do
Well,
besides
here's what sucks
I
about
think
this feud, bro.
he says the
It's
same things every week with just in
yeah.
different riddles and different rhymes, and
I told you he's the Jesus of the WWE. He's talking in parables. Like
I
he's a,
love Bray Wyatt, but right
yeah,
now,
I like them too. They're
why
just
are
kind
you?
of weak right now. And here's what sucks about this feud is that it's two guys right now who need wins desperately. You know, and one of them's gonna lose.
They
And
keep putting Bray Wyatt in. I get it. He's supposed to be a heel character, but he's over as that heel character. So I don't get why they have to keep throwing him against obvious faces. Put him against a legitimate heel. You know what would be good for both guys? Have him feud with Luke Harper.
I don't know why they didn't do that to begin with. I mean, after they left, like obviously he set them free, but like there was an opportunity there a couple times where in the Rumble where he was fucking cleaning house. After that, I know he was going to take on Taker, but you know, have him
For
do
being as
something with
protected as he was and looking
yeah,
so
man.
hot into WrestleMania, it was the only thing he's really done since that loss to Cena at the previous year's WrestleMania.
That Ambrose feud had so much potential the way it started out, but it was like, oh,
I
Demon,
was
you're
done with it.
crazy, I'm
Yeah,
crazy,
I was
we're gonna
over
fight each
it by
other.
the time the third match, the rubber match, rolled around.
Yeah, it was pointless. I don't know. Let's move on here. Hopefully, it develops into
It's
something.
depressing to talk about. I don't know where they're going with him.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said, it's both guys need a win right now. You know.
If it were up to me, he'd take on Adam Rose and switch him to Leo, and he'd bring on his baby
Well,
brother
here's the
Bo
thing, though.
Dallas.
That would suck because they haven't really built Adam Rose aside from just being a party jobber.
So
So
let him go after Adam Rose for a couple weeks. Let him play the I know who you really are bullshit.
oh,
You know what
that
I
would be
mean?
so
You know what
sweet,
I
dude.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
absolutely.
hey, I know who you really are. Have him stalk him in the back a little. Have him, be standing around the corner just smirking at him, laughing at him, and have it build up over the course of a couple weeks to the point where Adam Rose wants him in a match. All right, that's fine with me, and just have Bray turn him. Have Bray be the new face of fear, where he can just totally brainwash this dude
Oh
you know
man,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Go back to the
That would be
cult.
cool.
Go back to the cult backwoods type thing they were doing back in the day. That's what he's missing right now. Right now, he's just coming on and rambling about random shit, and it's like, okay, all right, Bray, okay,
Yeah,
So
it's to the point where I don't even pay attention anymore to what he's saying.
yeah, yeah, I feel you, dude. It's sad to see because the character has fucking potential as hell. So, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, next match was pretty much a King of the Ring match, but it was a throwaway match. Two jobbers pretty much. Stardust, which I am completely not interested in, and R-Truth, who is meh. R-Truth goes over Stardust for whatever reason.
And
I'm
moving
not even
on.
moving on. Fandango versus Adam Rose. Adam
And
Rose
moving on.
with a rare fucking win over Fandango, and
Oh,
they're
but they're
trying to.
playing the Rosa card.
Yeah,
It's
it's similar to the Summer Rae thing they were doing last year with Fandango and
it's a weak
whatever.
Raw only feud.
Yeah. Next, moving on as well. Here we go. Cheese Bella, Mrs. Kicks, Mrs. Glassneck versus Naomi.
Whatever, man. I love those tattoos on her hips now.
Yeah, I finally saw what you were talking about over
Didn't
there.
I say? Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, all right, DB, okay, I'll give you props on that. Uh, Kind of a throwaway match too, in my opinion. I mean, like I said, this Raw was kind of weak in a way. Naomi gets the win, blah blah blah. And then we had, Ambrose versus Sheamus, another King of the Ring qualifier match. Um, Ambrose gets the loss because DZ interfered,
Hopefully, this
and
is moving on to bigger and better things
oh,
for
I
Ambrose,
definitely
but
think so.
who knows?
Yeah, I think so. I really hope so, man. Like I said, Dirty Dean deserves so much better, and I think he's due. He's due for sure.
I hope
Um,
so.
not much to say there, but one of the match of the night, in my opinion, Neville versus Luke Harper.
Definitely.
Neville's been fucking, like I said, he's been fucking money since he's come in. He's had a couple losses under his belt, but it's been credible losses, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
he's looked good in every match.
Yeah, he lost to the world champ. He lost to Dolph Ziggler, who is, a credible veteran, and he's gotten some nice wins and stuff like that. And he's looked good in all his matches. So this is, just him moving on again. He got the win to advance in the tournament, um, and which would continue the following night. And then we had the main event, which I feel like we've seen before, to be honest with you. Roman Reigns and Randy teaming up against Kane and Rollins.
Typical tag match with your main event stars. Randy and Roman won, but it was nice to see Rollins get laid out a couple times at the end of the show.
Yeah, and it was good. The crowd was really behind it. Orton and Reigns seemed to have really good chemistry, I thought.
As a tag team, right?
Team.
It's well, they had great chemistry in their SummerSlam match against each other last year.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah. It was a good match.
They worked well together.
Yeah, no, it was good. But that was pretty much it. The announcement of the night was, at the end there, they're announcing that it was going to be the triple threat and everything.
That'll be interesting, though.
Yeah, hopefully it's gonna be a good pay-per-view, and it's in a couple weeks too. So
Yeah, it's already
it's
what,
almost
2.5 weeks, less than 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's around the corner. So let's see what happens. But moving on to that was Raw.
Yeah.
Moving on.
We don't need to spend too much time on King of the Ring. There's not much to say. I mean, what'd you have? R-Truth and Barrett pretty much squashed him.
And predictable. R-Truth is not going to win the King of the Ring.
No, you had Neville and Sheamus, which was not as good as Neville and Harper, but was a decent match. Neville got a clean pin, but there was some Dolph Ziggler interference with him standing up, mouthing off at Sheamus.
You said Sheamus got some color on him, right?
Yeah, Neville gets the pin, rolls out of the ring, disappears, and Ziggler decides he's going to rush the ring after Sheamus, and Sheamus gets out, takes a couple licks and rolls out and walks halfway up the ramp, and then just decides to hell with it, let's go. Runs back into the ring, and the next thing you know, Sheamus has got a big black bloody eye. Ziggler must have popped him good, because then as soon as he started bleeding, they sent the entire referee cavalry down there to break them up, and there's no blood allowed in WWE anymore. So
no, not in the PG era.
And I mean, the way that thing was, it was a legit. He legit got
Ric
popped.
Flair-esque?
No, I mean, his face wasn't covered in blood, but definitely that whole one side there it was pretty gruesome. It was pretty gross, and it was funny how they refused to show the replay of Sheamus bleeding.
They don't even show Rollins curb stomping for the championship win at WrestleMania anymore. So go fucking figure.
He needs it back. I don't like that.
The most over-heel finisher in the company, but let's not get started on that. We'll leave that for another night.
So you had Neville versus Barrett, and it was a solid match. They work well together. I think Neville and Barrett. I think that'd be nice to see a legit feud start. But Neville went for the Red Arrow for the win, and he missed. Barrett rolled out of the way. Neville landed on his feet and turned around into a bullhammer, and that was it. 1, 2, 3, Mr. King, Bad News Barrett.
The king of bad news.
It's good for Barrett. I thought, for as nice as it would have been to see Neville win King of the Ring, I think Barrett needed it more.
Yeah, no, especially after that shitty IC title booking. What do you think the King of the Ring is going to do for Barrett? Do you think, if anything?
Well, if it's anything like Cesaro winning the
a tag team championship run eventually.
No, or if it's anything like Cesaro winning the Andre the Giant tournament last year at WrestleMania, nothing. I don't know. Hopefully it gives him some. Maybe he's a 5-time Intercontinental Champion, so
yeah, he deserves better. I like him. I like the guy.
I'm kind of over him as the IC champion too, so I don't know. Like I said, it'd be nice to see him feud with Neville. I like that I thought this last pay-per-view was saturated with matches. There were too many matches. I don't think you needed 8 or 9 matches or whatever it was. It was a little much, but it's nice to see legitimate feuds between guys that don't have a belt involved. So Ziggler and Sheamus is a good feud.
That, to be honest, since they only have 3 titles. So
right. Barrett and Neville would be a good feud, with a belt involved. Sheamus and Ziggler is a good feud with no belt involved. So who knows?
Wyatt and Ryback. No, I'm just kidding.
Wyatt and Ryback is a confusing feud
She
with
got to
no belt
somehow
involved.
infuse Bo Dallas in there. I feel like Bo Dallas is going to get involved somehow, being pissed, but we'll see. That's
He
wishful
needs
thinking.
he needs a gimmick change from that troll shit. I get that
He
you
needs to
like
go to
it,
his
but he
NXT
needs.
gimmick back. I mean, which is kind of similar, but it was way better. It was executed better in my opinion.
He's just a troll.
Love that guy though. But anyway, sir, I think we covered pretty much everything. We didn't catch the SmackDown spoilers, but yeah, SmackDown. We'll catch you guys on that one next time. But I hope you guys enjoyed us, two grown men talking about grown men in tights,
These are our
locking up
stories. This is our
for
days of our
40 plus
lives.
minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed this. This has been the Geek Gods, the Wrestling Geeks, JR and Justin. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you guys on our next episode of, hopefully we'll do a payback episode recap. And so we want to try to keep these up, because wrestling's pretty big and we enjoy it, and we enjoyed talking about it. We fucking killed 40 something minutes I didn't even notice it. It went by so fast. But thanks for coming on, bro, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
We'll see you with
Peace,
payback.
bitches. Fear me.